Good evening. My name is Altaf Merchant. I'm an associate professor of marketing at the Milgard School of Business. I'm also the associate dean for administrative initiatives, and I'm associate editor of the Journal of Advertising Research. So that's a little bit about me. What I want to be presenting today is a nugget from around 15 years of my research on nostalgia. So the project I'm really talking about is I've been working on it for about 8 years with different people across several countries, and I want to be talking about my work in the United States, in France, and in India, right? And this is a project which I'm doing with John Ford, Varsha Jain, Subhadeep Roy, Jean-Luc Herman, and Christian Diano. A little bit more about me. So before my academic career, I worked for about 10 years as a brand manager with various companies like GlaxoSmithKline and I worked with various companies like GlaxoSmithKline, Reckitt Benckiser, and Sara Lee. I worked on brands like Lysol and Aquafresh toothpaste, etc. And I was always fascinated by how companies are able to create these relationships between brands and the consumers. And I was really fascinated about these emotional bonds and how people would get so passionate about these brands in any conversation that you would have about them. And one of these relationships that companies have and brands have with their consumers is nostalgia. And this is very evident in advertising, as you may have seen. You have Super Bowl ads, you have Microsoft which advertises, Pepsi which advertises, Toyota which advertises. All of them use nostalgia to engage their consumers. So what I thought was, before I talk more about nostalgia, let me show you an ad. Okay, so I'm going to be showing you a Pepsi ad, which is from Super Bowl, and this uses Bob Dylan and how he uses the words and the images to evoke nostalgia among consumers.
May God bless and keep you always. May your wishes all come true. May you always do for others and let others do for you. May you build a ladder to the stars and climb on every rung. And may you stay forever young. May you stay forever young.
Yo, may your hands always be busy. May your feet always be swift. And may you have a strong foundation when the winds of change shift. And may your heart always be joyful. And may your song always be sung. May you stay forever young. May you stay forever young.
Every generation refreshes the world.
Cool.
So that's a great example of how to use nostalgia, and there's several examples. iPhone has also used the Cookie Monster to announce Siri, and lots of examples. So the thing is, what exactly is nostalgia? Some have described it as a homesickness, some have called it as a disease in the past, some have called it as a sadness. So I define nostalgia as a mixture of emotions and memories related to the past, right? So that's the definition, that's the context of nostalgia. So the other question that comes to our mind is, what are the dimensions? Are there memory dimensions, emotional dimensions? Are they different across cultures? Are they all good? Do they all have a positive impact on the outcome for the company, on the brand? So that's another thing which is important to study. So I examined these particular questions across 3 countries, the United States, India, and France. Why India? India is an emerging country. There's a tension between the tradition and the new. There is prosperity coming, but with prosperity, a lot of the collectiveness is lost. France, because as those of you who may have traveled to France know, the French are very proud about their history and their heritage. They are very ascription-oriented. They're very conscious about people's backgrounds and their traditions. So that's another interesting context to study nostalgia from. So what did I do? We conducted over 15 studies. Over 2,000 consumers were involved. We used a multi-methods technique. We started off with grounded theory in terms of understanding consumers' thoughts, did focus groups, interviews, more qualitative research. Then we moved on to more quantitative research for analyzing what are the underlying factors and dimensions. And then we related these dimensions to various antecedents and consequences of nostalgia. We did it across all the 3 countries. So we found that in the US, there are 4 dimensions. There's past imagery related to the past. There's positive emotions like happiness and joy. There's negative emotions like regret and sadness. And then there are physiological reactions such as people smiling, tears coming to people's eyes, people feeling hungry, so physiological reactions. In France, what we found was their personal memories related to childhood and youth, as well as there's cultural nostalgia, which is a longing for the traditions, the history, the way the society was, the traditional character of society related to the past. And in India, we found that it had the same 4 dimensions as the US, but there was another very interesting dimension called collective nostalgia, which is a nostalgia for the village, nostalgia for the community, nostalgia for the relationships and family, and that feeling which they have lost as they have progressed in forward. So we then tested nostalgia with various antecedents and consequences, and we found that nostalgia has a lot of positive consequences like positive attitudes, purchase intentions, and brand choice. However, we also found that there are certain negative aspects of nostalgia, such as sadness and unhappiness and regret, which actually have a negative outcome for the consumer. So this is a very interesting finding from a marketing perspective because nostalgia is not all positive. We were also interested in knowing that to evoke nostalgia, do you need to be very loyal as a consumer? And we found that yes, it is effective among loyal consumers, but even among consumers who are less loyal, nostalgic ads really help increase purchase intentions among consumers. The other idea which we had was, does nostalgia reduce desire for money? So we asked the consumers to take this test, which is really draw a coin of an Indian rupee, 2 rupee coin. And we found that those who had high nostalgia, who felt high levels of nostalgia, drew smaller coins as compared to those who had low levels of nostalgia, right? And we said, okay, and we tested it with other scales to determine desire for money, and we found that nostalgia actually reduces desire for money. So, implications. We've done a lot of work, and I've tried to share some things with you. What are the implications? We add to the ongoing discourse on nostalgia and cross-cultural research from a marketing perspective, from a psychology perspective. Our research is also very helpful to marketeers. Now, as I'm my research is very user-inspired. I'm very interested in developing research which can be applied, right? And that's one of the targets of Journal of Advertising Research, which I edit. And therefore, my research helps marketing managers and advertising managers to understand what their ads are doing to consumers, as well as curtail all the negativity associated with nostalgia. Because imagine, if you spend millions of dollars and develop an ad which evokes all negative emotions, you're really wasting your money, right? So that's the other implication. A little bit about my other research. I'm also examining brand-evoked nostalgia currently on a project with my colleagues in the US, in Belgium, and Qatar. I'm also looking at brand heritage, and that's the history and heritage associated with brands. And that is a project I'm working with colleagues in the US, France, Germany, and South Korea. So thank you very much. I hope I've given you a flavor of what I do in nostalgia. Thank you.